Man, that's not good. I don't think that's not the harmonic balancer.
Welcome, boys and girls, to another episode of Andy Asks His Dad for Help on His Truck. So, about a month ago, I started hearing this horrible squealing sound coming from my engine bay somewhere. And so I popped the hood and started looking for issues. I checked the belts on the alternator and the power steering and took those off and messed with them and stuff, and then was just kind of doing some general investigation here. And I saw my harmonic balancer, to my dismay, going. And so we are now, today, replacing the harmonic balancer because the seal has gone bad on it. We're replacing the cam seal and replacing my thermostat, which I've had just in my parts pile for forever.
The crank seal.
What he said.
So here's Andy's new harmonic balancer. Right here, this little ring goes around as a piece of rubber. So you've got a steel inner part and a steel outer part held together by this rubber piece, and so that absorbs the energy when this thing is spinning super fast. And so over time, this rubber starts to let go between one of the two sides of the inner or the outer steel, and when that lets go, then this outside would spin, and it would just
mess up your timing,
have all sorts of problems from that. And so looked like yours was starting to squish out, right?
Yeah, mine is already wobbling kind of at different speeds. Yeah. And so I put it in the garage and have not touched it in a month because I had to get the parts and had to have the time. So
one time my dad and I were rebuilding, he had a 58 Corvette. It had the 283. It had a harmonic balancer. The engine was all nasty. The harmonic balancer was gross and greasy and stuff. And so he took it off as we were going to clean it up and paint the engine, and he took it off and put the harmonic balancer in a little tub of gas to clean all the grease and stuff off of it.
Which makes rubber.
And then kind of forgot about it. The next day we went and got it, and that whole rubber thing had squished out, and it was like, it just completely ruined the whole thing, so we had to buy a brand new one, which you probably needed anyway for the 1958 motor. But
that sounds like it.
All right, so we got to remove this belt, both belts, first step. Next thing is to get this fan shroud out of our way. Should be just 4 bolts. Man, that's not good. I don't think that's not the harmonic balancer.
What do you think that is?
That's a totally loose bolt.
Cool.
I'm taking it out with my fingers.
Sweet. I mean, the balancer is shot, so we got to replace it anyway. But
why was that loose, though?
Whoever put this engine in, because this isn't the original engine.
So much for him to pull it. Yeah. All right, so you can see that's what we were talking about. Get out the light here. These are all squished out, and so these are letting go. So that could be what caused it to loosen up. If this was wobbling, it could make it loosen. So all we got to do is put our new one on, and then take all these 4 bolts out. Actually, we'll put the new one on, and then run something through it to. So we can put the torque on before we put these pulleys back on. So we've got the harmonic balancer out off the shaft. And so what we need to do, and it looks good from here. if that thing would have been really loose for a long time and wobbled like that, it can wear this or the crankshaft in the crankshaft, you know, unevenly wear it, so that would be really bad. But it looks like it's, I don't see any of that on there. It looks all even. So hopefully the crankshaft end is fine. But the next step, what we gotta do is get the seal out, the old seal. So Andy's got one of these seal removal tools. Like this, we're gonna get in there and try to fish around next to the shaft and hook that under the lip of the seal and pop it out. And once we get that out, we're going to check and make sure that this new seal that he's got is the same one that goes in there. And then we'll clean that inside of the, I don't know if you can see it in there, but we're going to clean, once we get it out, we're going to clean the inside of that timing gear cover really good where it mates in there. And that has to be totally clean. And then we're going to use some sealer stuff. Can't think of the name of it now. And drive it in there with we've got a big old socket that's about the same outside diameter as the seal, and we're going to try to drive that in there totally straight, and then we'll oil the inside of the seal and put the balancer back on. First, let's try to get that off. All right, so Andy's getting in there to try to get his harmonic balancer seal out.
Okay, so slight change of plans. Got under there to pull out the seal with this bad boy right here, and discovered, to our dismay, that you have to pull it out from the other side, which means you have to take out everything. So, what we're going to do now...
Only on a pre-81. So, before 1981, the timing cover has the seal driven in from the back side. So you can't just take the seal out like you can everything else and drive on back in. You got to take your water pump off, everything off the front. You're really supposed to drop your oil pan, but we're going to try to leave the oil pan in and get the timing cover off from the front.
But coincidentally, we needed to replace the thermostat anyway, and so we're just going to go ahead, since we have to, go through this big process anyway. We're going to go ahead and replace the thermostat. Dad keeps missing the bucket.
It keeps going like crazy.
He's a good shot. You should see his toilet at home. All right, well, this is where we are now.
There's our pile that we've gotten stuff we've gotten off. That stuff, the farther it is out, the madder we were when we took it off. So that's when we slung it.
There's a piece, I think, of the radiator up in that slot over there somewhere.
So the timing chain looks good, so we don't have to replace that while we're in here, thank goodness. And we did find out we got to take the oil pan off because, as you can see, we got water running down into the oil.
Also, that gasket is completely shot.
Yeah, gasket
both sides
is shot. So that means we're probably going to have to take the motor mounts loose and have to jack the engine up to where we can get this oil pan to clear that cross member there. But it might not. We'll have to see when we get down in there. But usually oil pans have like 15,000 bolts, and you can't get to half of them.
There's our labeled bolt pile. We realized that about 20 bolts in. Like, we should probably be labeling these.
So we're down to where we were trying to get to, which is right here. Here's our timing cover.
There's a seal.
There's that seal driven from the inside. There's where we beat it up trying to get it out from through the outside. So we've got gaskets galore that we've got to buy. There's fuel pump gasket, it's timing cover gasket, water pump gasket goes on this side, gaskets everywhere.
Most of these were leaking anyway, so this is great.
It's just a harmonic balancer. It's pretty easy to take out.
Hey, the harmonic balancer took us like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the harmonic balancer is easy to take out. It's if you want to replace that seal.
Especially when you don't lock or tighten your bolt up.
Yeah, it's just finger tight. Just tighten it with your hand.
I told him I had 160-foot torque fingers that I loosened it up with.
All his fingers have abs. It's really creepy to look at. It is about time. What have we been trying to do for the last 2 hours?
Get the stupid oil pan off.
Stinking oil pan.
We finally got it. We had to, you can see our setup down there. We had to lift up on this edge of the base down there. After you get the oil pan broke loose, you got a little free corner that you can just barely hook to and lift the engine up kind of sideways enough just to clear the pickup tube. So
That gigantic monstrosity over there.
we got to clean it all up really good. We're going to go to O'Reilly's and see if we can find all the gasket kits we need. And then start cleaning. It's going to take an hour just scraping gaskets.
Yeah, it took us 15 minutes to get basically to the oil pan, and we've been working on the oil pan ever since, and that was about 3 hours ago. Or more.
Ready.
We had to eat.
Okay, so we have finally got everything cleaned up. Everything's wire brushed, and we used lacquer thinner on stuff to finish getting it clean. Andy's went through and cleaned all these threads out with a little thread cleaner. We've got the oil pickup tube back on, so that's ready. So now we're going to start putting sealant on our gaskets. This is our timing cover gasket that goes right here. So we're going to use this anaerobic sealer. We're going to put it on both sides of this gasket, stick it on there, and then put our timing cover on. And then we've got 2 bolts. One bolt here that holds it on, and one more right there. And then we'll start working on the water pump.
So we have got our oil pan back on, which was nowhere near as big of a nightmare as we had anticipated it was going to be.
Why?
Because we decided to put some gasket sealer stuff, I think it's under the truck.
Ultra black.
Yeah. On the gasket between the oil pan and the gasket so that the gasket would stay in place. And so that way we could just push the entire thing under there and then mate that up to the already gasket sealed cert underbelly there in the truck, and then just pop all the bolts in. They all went in well, and then we had to put the motor mounts back in, and those went in surprisingly easily too. And then, like Dad said, we put our water pump back on. Dad just finished putting the fuel pump back on. We've got the alternator bolted back up loosely. We just have to do the power steering pump.
I think we're done with all gasket stuff. Everything gasket-wise is finished.
Hallelujah. Now we just have to do the harmonic balancer, which is the entire reason for this 7-day process.
So we're going to make sure that seal has got some oil on it, and we're going to get the harmonic balancer installed and tightened up to 90 foot-pounds. So that's what we're doing now.
We've all gathered here today for a momentous occasion that's taken Dad and I 24 straight hours. As you can tell, I'm still wearing the same clothes when we started. But we're getting ready to start the truck up for the first time since we went under this much longer than we expected endeavor, and hopefully it'll start and not have any issues. Or
The
leaks,
main thing is leaks.
because we replaced a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of gaskets, and so hopefully no leaks.
All right.
So there's all this. He's getting ready to start it up and pull it out, and then we're going to let it heat up, warm up, and make sure we don't have leaks. Pull pressure up. Oh. Okay, pull it on out. Nothing's exploding. Smells like a bunch of new stuff breaking in. Oh, okay, okay.
Well, that's it. The truck is running great, as you can see, and I'm actually filming this about a week later after Dad and I worked on this truck and finished it all up, just to make sure there wasn't any leaks or faulty gaskets or anything like that. And the truck's been running great. I went from having about 6 leaks underneath the truck to I've only got 1 now, and the one that I have now is something that we didn't even touch. It's something that's further back, which we'll address later. So super happy with the way that everything worked out with this big project that was supposed to be something that was only supposed to take us a couple hours, and ended up taking like almost a full day, like 24-hour day. But it's great. I'm super happy about it. The harmonic balancer is running smooth as silk.
So
So thanks so much for watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button down below. Make sure you get subscribed and hit the bell so you are notified for all future videos that we upload on this channel. But with that, it's time for our verse of the week, which is Joshua 24:15, that says, "If it is disagreeable in your sight to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves today whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served, which are beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Hope you guys have a good week. I'm gonna go help a friend move because I have a truck now. And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.